What up, it's Simmons here. Now, here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films celebrating their 10th anniversary. We got a whole lot of good ones to talk about. We got Neighbors, which is, of course, the comedy starring Seth Rogen and Zac Efron, where it follows a couple played by Rogen and Rose Byrne, who come into conflict with a fraternity that has recently who has recently moved in next door, which leads them into like a or at war with them. Neighbors, of course, directed by Nicholas Stoller, who also gave us For Gangster Marshall, most recent Bros. I love Neighbors. I had a fun time. It was really hilarious, entertaining. The back and forth between Seth Rogen and Zac Efron is hilarious. This was one of my favorite comedies of that year. Had lots of fun laughs. Again, Zac Efron was great in this. You also had like Christopher Mintz-Plasse popping up in this. Lisa Kudrow, Ike Barinholtz was hilarious. Jared Carmichael. If you guys have never seen Neighbors, do yourself a favor, go watch it. The sequel is pretty funny too. Maybe not as funny as the first film, but I still quite heartily enjoyed the second. I still wish we got a third one, but that never came to fruition. All right. Also turning 10, we got Chef, directed by John Favreau, who of course at the time was best known for directing Iron Man, Iron Man 2. So seeing him do like more of a small fare, going back to his small fare roots, I thought it was really interesting. This is a road comedy uh where like where John Favreau plays a chef who after a public altercation with a food critic loses his job at like this popular LA restaurant and begins to operate a food truck with his young son. You also had the likes of Dustin Hoffman, Sofia Vergara, Robert Downey Jr., John Leguizamo, Scott Johansson. I mean, it's a really nice, charming film. The chemistry between John Favreau and his on-screen son was always really good. This movie will definitely make you hungry big time. Like, if you go watch the movie, you'll definitely want to maybe have a bite to eat up either before you watch it or maybe during it because you'll definitely get a little hungry here. But it's a really decent film worth checking out. All right, also turning 10, we got Mom's Night Out. Now this is of course directed by these by the Erwin brothers, who are like this Christian faith-based directors. And this movie also has the likes of Sean Astin, Patricia Hayden, uh, Trace Atkins was also in this. And if you guys don't know much about the story in this, uh, the movie centers on three moms attempting to get away and have a nice night out together, and the pandemonium that ensues as everyone's plan goes haywire. And this is actually a really nice, charming little film. I mean, I never understood how it was a faith-based movie, really. Not really much Christian stuff going on in it. But it was still fun, nonetheless. Sean Astin was pretty decent in this. You also had Harry Shum Jr. From Glee fame. It was cool seeing him pop up. Uh, Trace Atkins is always like a really good iconic country music artist. Seeing him in this was really good. Sarah Drew from Grey's Anatomy fame was in this. It's a really decent little film if you guys haven't seen that. All right, also turning 10. Speaking of Glee, by the way, uh, we got Legends of Oz: Dorothy's Return, which is of course pretty much like a semi-animated sequel to The Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy Gale, voiced by Glee's Leah Michelle, finds herself whisked away back to Oz to save her friend Scarecrow, voiced by Dan Aykroyd, the Lion, voiced by Jim Belushi, Tin Man, voiced by Kelsey Grammer, and Glinda, voiced by Bernadette Peters, from the Jester, voiced by Martin Short, the younger brother of the Wicked Witch of the West. The Jester is using his late sister's broomstick as a magic wand and is destroying Oz one yellow brick at a time. And of course, you guys know Wizard of Oz is my favorite movie of all time. I adore the Wizard of Oz, so I'm more interested in anything Wizard of Oz related, whether it's like a new take. Cannot wait for Wicked. But this was pretty terrible. I mean, of course, again, you had some good music in it, by the way. Like some music's pretty decent, and of course, you had Dan Aykroyd, Jim Belushi in this. They're always great. but it was just a generic, not so good anime film. The animation was terrible. It really did not make what like if you guys want to see a little bit of a better Wizard of Oz sequel, I'd rather go back and watch Return of Oz over this. So yeah. All right. Now we also got two other films turning 10 that I want to touch up on. We got the movie Palo Alto, where a lack of parental guidance encourages teens in an affluent California town to rebel with substance abuse and other stuff. Now, this is directed by Gia Coppola, who's also directing that new Pamela Anderson film coming out called The Last Showgirl. This also stars the likes of James Franco. It's actually based on a couple of shorts as well. You also had Val Kilmer. It also starred Val Kilmer's son, Jack Kilmer, who's actually a really good actor. I've seen him in other stuff. He's really talented. Margaret Qualley was also in this. It was actually my first introduction to Margaret Qualley. Nat Wolff. This was actually a movie that really made me become a fan of Nat Wolff's acting, by the way. He's really terrific in this. It's very weird to watch, but this was pretty much Euphoria before Euphoria came out. Definitely has a little bit of a Euphoria feel to it at times. It's a really good film. Just a little bit odd to watch, but good nonetheless. Now, also turning 10, we got Devil's Knot, which is a true crime film directed by Atom Agayan, who's also put out some other cool stuff before. But the movie stars Colin Firth, Reese Witherspoon, Dane DeHaan, Stephen Moyer, Bruce Greenwood, Amy Ryan, and it's pretty much about the true story of three murdered children and the three teenagers known as the West Memphis Three, who were convicted of killing them. During the satanic ritual abuse panic, the teenagers were subsequently sentenced to death and life imprisonment before all were released after 18 years. And this is a really good one. The performances by Reese Witherspoon was pretty good. Colin Firth was pretty decent. Of course, Adams put out some other really good stuff too. Like he did Harry Hereafter movie that got released in the 90s and stuff. It's a really decent this is a really decent crime film worth checking out. So yeah, I didn't I knew a little bit about the West Memphis before I saw this, but this was a really intriguing one. It makes you want to learn more about it. All right. Now films turning 20. We got the classic Van Helsing, directed by Stephen Sommers, who of course directed movies such as The Mummy, G.I. Joe. He's put out some hits and misses before. Now this also stars the likes of Hugh Jackman, who plays the role of Monster Slayer Gabriel Van Helsing, who is dispatched to Transylvania to assist the last of the Valorous bloodline in defeating Count Dracula. You also have Kate Beckinsale was also in this. Of course, Richard Roxburgh plays the role of Count Dracula. It's not really a good film at all. It's pretty generic. It's pretty boring at times. Nothing about this movie really fascinated me. Some of the action was cool, and that was really it. But yeah, and Hugh Jackman was fine, but nothing about this really piques my interest. All right. Now, also turning 20, we got New York Minute. Now, New York Minute was actually pretty much the last movie that the Olsen twins both starred in together. Now, if you guys don't know much about New York Minute, it starred the Olsen twins with opposing personalities who have a series of adventures around New York. Now, you also had the Olsen twins having a pretty much reuniting of sorts with Bob Saget, of course, obviously from they were on Full House together. You also had Eugene Levy, Jared Padalecki, Andre Martin, Andy Richter, and this movie got trash at the time. Loads of people disliked it. It got tons of Razzies. I'm one of the rare folks who actually enjoyed New York Minute. The Olsen twins have worked together tons of times before, obviously on Full House, but they've done lots of stuff in the 90s together. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually my favorite Olsen twins film they've ever done. It's really entertaining. Obviously the chemistry is pretty good. Seeing Jared Padalecki like before, Supernatural fame in this is really fun to see. Eugene Levy's hilarious. I mean, I've always had a fun time with this one. It's a shame it didn't get any love, but it is what it is, I guess. Probably none of the Ultra Twins movies really got much love, but. Oh, and another film that turns 10, which I forgot to put down in the description, is Super Size Me, which is a documentary directed by Morgan Spurlock, who's a really good director. Now, the film follows a 30-day period from February 1st to March 2nd, 2003, during which he ate only McDonald's food. The film documents the drastic effect of Spurlock's physical and psychological health and well-being. It explores the fast food industry's corporate influence, including how it encourages poor nutrition for its own profit and gain. Now, after watching this movie, you'll think I'll probably never have McDonald's at all, but I've still been having McDonald's ever since I saw this movie. Probably should stop that, but hey. Um, and let me just say, majority of people who actually watch this film literally quit eating McDonald's. Uh, what it's a little bit of a interesting documentary of how like McDonald's, the stuff that is in McDonald's food, like in their chickens and everything. But it's a really intriguing doc. Like Morgan Spurlock really does well with these documentaries, and this one he did a really good job with. So if you guys never seen Super Size Me, give it a go. All right, now films celebrating Dirty. Not much really go by. We only got like Three Ninjas Kickback, which is another one of those Three Ninja movies. Which the first one's good, but the other ones are terrible. We got Clean State, which was directed by the Bodyguard director Mick Jackson, and starred Dana Carvey as a private investigator who is the key witness in a murder case after suffering a head injury. However, he has developed a rare form of amnesia that causes him to forget anything that happened to him the previous day. And you also had the likes of James Earl Jones, uh, Micah Gambon, aka Dumbledore and Harry Potter, Kevin Pollak, Bryan Cranston, like before, Breaking Bad and Malcolm Mill fame. And this is a little bit of a forgettable film. I mean, Mick Jackson has put out some cool stuff like The Bodyguard, LA Story, but this definitely was not one of them. I love Martin Short, but sometimes his second Martin Short movie on my list, by the way, on this video, by the way. But yeah, not everything Martin Short was in was always the best. All right. Also trending there, we got Reckless Kelly, a modern day Ned Kelly who robs banks in Australia and gives the money to the poor. Ned is forced to go to Hollywood to make enough money to save his family's land, and it goes against his beliefs. He cannot simply rob banks there for his own benefits. Ned is forced to find another way to come with the 1 million required to save his family. You also have the likes of Kathleen Freeman, Hugo Weaving. It's a little bit forgettable too. So like, not really anything in the 30-year one really stands out, but the 40-year one, now that stands out there. First off, we got Firestarter, based on this novel by Stephen King. Speaking of Zac Efron, by the way, if you guys remember, he did star in the remake, which was awful. Now, this of course starred a very young Drew Barrymore, and this was like a year before. I think like a year or two before. Yeah, about a year before she had her big break in ET. Now, Firestarter also had the likes of David Keith, Martin Sheen, George C. Scott. And if you guys know much about the story in this, the plot concerns a girl who develops pyrokinesis and a secret government agent known as the Shop, which seeks to control her. And the original Firestar is terrific. It's a lot of fun. Drew Barrymore really showcased her, acting chops at the time at a very young age, and she's really she was of course amazing in this. Again, they did a remake, which we don't is whatever, but nothing beats the original Firestarter. See, a remake came out that not ruin the love for the original. You see how that is, people. People always complain that like remakes ruin the original. Guys, the Firestar remake came out. It was terrible. Did not ruin the original. See, It's still there for you guys to watch it, you know. But like the original Firestarter still had that. Like it's not my favorite Stephen King adaptation, nothing like that. It's nowhere near as good as let's say Christine or Carrie, nothing like that. But it's a really decent installment in my opinion. Like it's a really decent adaptation. All right. Also turning 40, we got The Natural, which is directed by Barry Levinson, who will go on to direct Rain Man. And top it off, his son is, speak of Euphoria, is of course Sam Levinson, who's like the creator of Euphoria. So there's a little tip for you there. Now, this is maybe one of the best baseball movies there is, starring Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Richard Farnsworth. Speaking of Stephen King, he was the sheriff in Misery. The film recounts the experiences of Roy Hobbs, an individual with great natural baseball talent, spanning the decades of Roy's career. In direct contrast to the novel, the film ends on a positive tone. And this is a really terrific baseball film. Robert Redford was amazing in this one. This is definitely in the top 10 favorite baseball movies of all time. Glenn Close is great in this. Robert Duvall is always amazing. Definitely one of Barry Levinson's best work there. It's a really classic one worth checking out. Even if you're not like a baseball guy, you'll still appreciate the film. It's definitely has a good underdog story, a really decent storytelling, really good film if you guys haven't seen it. But that's pretty much it there. Let me lead you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is going to Neighbors. The 20-year one is actually going to New York Minute. Like, all due respect to Super Size Me and Van Helsing, I actually prefer New York Minute. Can't go wrong with the Olsen twins, right? Nothing in the Dirty one really stands out. Nothing really was all that great there. And the 4-year one obviously is going to go to Firestarter. Anyway, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Steven Saga.